Welcome to Tokyo Wave, recorded in a live studio in Harajuku, Japan, with your hosts Aaron and Parker. Alright everyone, welcome to episode 77 of Tokyo Wave. We are your hosts Aaron Randall
and Parker Allen. On Tokyo Wave, we bring you weekly updates from our studio in Harajuku.
Join us in segments featuring this week's top news,
political happenings,
business,
and other random garbage.
To get us started, here are this week's top news highlights.
Japan to lift entry ban for business visas, students, and interns.
Japan wins Fossil of the Day award after Prime Minister Kishida pledges to keep coal power at COP26.
Police on the hunt for monkey running wild in Tokyo and Saitama.
This week in Japan. So our first story, Japan to lift entry ban for business visas, students, and interns.
The Asahi Shimbun has reported that Japan plans to allow short-term business travelers, foreign students, and technical intern trainees to enter the country under certain conditions, but will continue to bar tourists as an anti-COVID-19 measure.
Business people on short-term visits must be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 and will have to quarantine for 3 days after their arrival.
Foreign students and technical intern trainees will still have to self-quarantine for up to 14 days after arrival.
Government officials are also discussing shortening the self-quarantine period for Japanese business people who return from abroad.
However, the government is not considering relaxing border controls for tourists.
Arrivals will still be capped at 3,500 a day, and the government could tighten the restrictions if the number of novel coronavirus infections rises at home or overseas.
So Japan suspended entries of foreigners in principle in January of this year, except for in special cases such as those on humanitarian grounds.
Industry groups have called on the government to loosen its border controls to permit essential business trips.
Overseas students have also argued that it is unfair to be kept out of Japan even after enrolling at Japanese schools and universities.
Wow, so this is big news, and my first big question is this for new visas as well, or did you have to already have a visa, like a student visa?
So that's a good question. The entry ban started on January the 6th of this year. And so they continued to issue the certificate of eligibility. If you remember, when you come into Japan on a long-term stay visa, you first get a certificate of eligibility, and then you take that to your local embassy or consulate, and then you get your visa in your passport.
This is all coming back to me. I think I did this like 10 years ago, yeah.
Exactly. And so people have certificates of eligibility as Japan has continued to issue those, but they cannot get those turned into visas at the local embassy or consulate under the current regime. So that, of course, is going to change, and now people with new work or student visas can finally come to the country after almost a year.
This is huge news. Wow. Okay. Yeah, because I did see this news online, and there was a big debate as to whether or not it included new visa applicants, or as you said, those who have the certificate of eligibility and they're just waiting for their chance to come back or come to Japan for the first time.
Exactly. And so finally, people who have their certificate of eligibility can come into the country, although it's still unclear as of this recording when that's going to be started. It sounds like there might be an announcement actually sometime today.
Wow.
But lots of people have been, refreshing the Ministry of Foreign Affairs website over and over and over again, waiting for some kind of an update.
This is great. I mean, because we've got universities here, right? Like Sophia, Temple, international universities that have a lot of students from abroad, and they've been stuck. I've seen lots of like TikTok videos and stuff of students that are stuck, in America, but they're going to a Japanese school, right?
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate because even up until recently, even Japanese government-funded students couldn't get into the country.
Oh my gosh.
And so they allowed them in actually earlier than the rest of the privately funded students, but even then, the privately funded students were pissed off because basically the government-funded students were given priority.
Yeah. Wait, it looks like things are moving in the right direction, and we're all awaiting, the announcement of tourists being allowed in, because that would be the explosion, I think.
Scary. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that this year, though.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Definitely. It looks like it could happen sometime next year, but of course, what's going to happen with the pandemic? Nobody knows. And up next, Japan wins Fossil of the Day award after Prime Minister Kishida pledges to keep coal power at COP26.
The Mainichi has reported that an international environmental organization announced on November 2nd that it has chosen Japan as a recipient of its Fossil of the Day award after Prime Minister Fumio Kishida stated Japan will continue to use existing thermal power plants during the COP26 UN Climate Change Conference's summit meeting the same day.
The Climate Action Network, a global network of more than 1,500 environmental NGOs in over 130 countries, bestowed Japan with the prize, given to countries and others that have maintained a negative stance toward climate control, on the grounds that Prime Minister Kishida has announced a policy to keep thermal power by relying on unestablished technologies, even while setting forth a zero-emission premise. It gave 2 other Fossil of the Day awards to Norway and Australia.
The network pointed out that whilst phasing out of coal-fired thermal power is a priority issue of the COP, Japan is going to continue using coal power plants beyond 2030, and that Prime Minister Kishida had deluded dreams that thermal power generation using ammonia and hydrogen can serve as zero-emission thermal power.
The network critically stated that the technology to use hydrogen and other sources in thermal power generation is still undeveloped and costly, and that such an attempt would jeopardize the attainment of the Paris Agreement goal of limiting the average global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels.
Alden Mayer, a senior associate of international think tank E3G, which is taking part in the COP26 conference, pointed out that hydrogen production requires energy, and that while Prime Minister Kishida did not mention the source of the hydrogen, if it is produced using fossil fuels, it is problematic.
Confusing stuff.
Hydrogen is the most abundant resource in the universe.
Whoa.
So I mean, this is definitely, most scientists, want to get to the stage where we can, properly harvest hydrogen and potentially be completely powered by it. Obviously, solar is a big player, but hydrogen is kind of like the, if we can figure that out without having to use coal to power the hydrogen, then we'd be in a sci-fi universe very quickly.
It's funny because up until, of course, the 2011 disaster, Japan really was focused on nuclear as the key renewable energy that it would use in its energy mix. However, as a Japanese politician, you can't really say the word nuclear anymore. It's somewhat of a nuclear issue.
For sure. So, nuclear power plants are actually the most efficient source of electricity in the world. Most of them operate 24/7 at 93% average capacity, which is really, really high. So it's really tough, right? Because these nuclear power plants, obviously, the devastation is absolutely insane, especially in a country built on the Ring of Fire. There's all these terrible things that could happen, but it's so damn efficient. So what are we going to do, right?
Well, very quietly during the race for becoming the president of the LDP, I think it was Kishida who mentioned that Japan could renew its nuclear power plants with newer, smaller, and safer, and of course also more efficient reactors, which would hedge a lot of the current risks of the sort of older and more dangerous generation of reactors. However, as soon as people start talking about nuclear power, people just go red. They remember the huge fallout from Fukushima and the fear that really went across Japan after that happened.
Right.
And so it's really tough to touch that issue.
Absolutely. Up next, police on the hunt for monkey running wild in Tokyo and Saitama.
The Asahi Shimbun also reported that a monkey on the loose in central Tokyo has police going bananas trying to find the pesky primate.
Since November 1st, police in Tokyo and Saitama have received a string of reports of sightings of a monkey believed to be of the wild variety.
At around 5 p.m. on November 1st, the Metropolitan Police Department's Kitazawa Police Station was alerted that a monkey was spotted up a tree at Setagaya Hachimangu Shrine in Setagaya Ward.
At 8:05 a.m. on November 2nd, a resident called police telling them, quote, a monkey is hanging around near Komaba Toraimai Station on the Keio Inokashira line in Meguro Ward.
So this station is about 4 kilometers east of the Setagaya Shrine, and as you will hear in the coming developments, this monkey travels pretty fast.
The Metropolitan Police Department's Meguro Police Station then dispatched its officers to hunt for the monkey around the station.
It's a manhunt! No, it's a monkey hunt! This is basically the premise of Donkey Kong, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think this is probably like the 3rd or 4th time there's been a loose monkey on Tokyo Wave, so...
Monkeys on the loose! I think it's our favorite topic.
Yeah.
So on Twitter, multiple people have posted videos capturing the monkey, climbing power poles, crossing wiring over railway tracks, and hanging out on people's verandas.
Flinging its poop at people.
Maybe not that last one.
But that happens.
It does.
Yeah.
Maybe this monkey just, he's a polite monkey.
So the neighboring Shibuya Ward office also received a report of a monkey sighting in the ward on November 2nd.
There have been no reports of anyone being injured by the monkey, but there have been many reports of people being very amused by the monkey. And it's all over TV. This entire week, the monkey's been everywhere. I mean, you would think, the monkey's been on all the big TV programs. NHK had him, Asahi had him, TBS had him, but nobody's been able to catch him.
Municipal officials have alerted residents about possible monkey encounters and warned them not to get close to the animals, feed them, or make eye contact, and to ensure they lock their doors at home, because everyone knows monkeys cannot pick locks.
Important top tip. Monkeys can't pick locks.
It reminds me of in Jurassic Park when, they said, the raptors can't open the doors. And the next scene is the raptor opening the door. I'd be willing to bet monkeys can probably pick locks. Like, seriously, I mean, after talking with, our buddy Matt, the Akiya Inaka guy, the stories I've heard from him about monkeys just blows my mind. I mean, these monkeys are smart as hell. They're basically like human version, I don't know, 0.5 running around.
Well, I mean, honestly, it seems like the monkey is a little bit more well-traveled than your average Tokyoite, because at least one sighting has been reported in Kita Ward, Itabashi Ward, Taito Ward, and Bunkyo Ward, as well as in Chofu City, Komaya City, Higashi Kurume City, and Kogane City. This monkey's all over the place. And apparently, it's the same monkey.
No way. That's insane. This monkey's done more traveling than I have this entire year. So in late September, a monkey was captured at Haneda Airport, which is located in Ota Ward.
So it's not that monkey. Got that one. However, the monkey apparently was not so satisfied with what he found in Tokyo and crossed the Arakawa River and was reported as entering Saitama Prefecture as early as the 4th of November.
Punk Machida, animal researcher, said, quote, most wild animals, not just monkeys, are afraid of humans. It's instinctive. Humans are actually quite scary animals. However, the monkeys this time are not afraid of humans. I think that's how used to seeing humans they are. Tell you what, one of them monkeys comes near me again, I'll show him some ape shit.
Even when surrounded by a large number of humans, the monkey showed no signs of timidity. He also approaches crows aggressively. Even when a cat stares at him, he keeps his monkey batitude.
Damn, these monkeys, man, They're freaky. The thing Matt mentioned too was not making eye contact. That's just wild. Like, you know, if you accidentally make eye contact with that thing, you might be running, you know?
Maybe it's like Medusa. It's like monkey see, monkey do. If you catch eyes with the monkey, you will turn into a monkey.
Yeah, yeah. To be honest with you, this monkey from the zoo, right? Monkeys from the zoo, generally speaking.
No, this one's a wild monkey, though.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the wild variety.
So where the hell did it come from?
Nature.
Nature? It just plopped out of nature into Tokyo and now it's running around wild?
Yeah.
Huh. You know?
I mean, maybe he's like a monkey stowaway and he like, you know, he hopped on the back of a truck.
I mean, you know,
monkeys do wild shit like that. I mean, they're monkeys.
It is interesting how wild the shit becomes, you know. I do wonder, though, if it has something to do with us putting them in zoos and maybe affecting them psychologically. So when I don't know, this one might have not come from the zoo, but it might come from a group of monkeys that originally escaped from the zoo, right? I wonder if we're like screwing with like their breeding system and psychologically messing them up by having these zoos.
Maybe it's like a monkey revolutionary and he's part of this plot to overthrow the government and replace them with monkey overlords.
I mean, it's revolutionary style behavior, and there's not a lot we can do because who the hell can catch these damn things?
Well, thank God he's in Saitama now.
Yeah,
the monkeys can take over Saitama. That's okay.
All right, and up next on Japanese Politics Wow, we'll be talking about the result of the 2021 Japan House of Representatives election.
You're now listening to Tokyo Wave.
So after what seemed like the longest damn election in memorable history, on October the 31st, Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party, or the LDP, secured a sole majority in the lower house of parliament in a general election.
While the LDP lost a sizable number of seats, including high-profile former cabinet ministers, the LDP performed better than media forecast and secured enough seats to effectively control all standing committees and steer the legislative process.
So if you weren't watching this in the news, a lot of media outlets speculated that the LDP would lose somewhere between 30 to 40 seats. And so with those losses, the media was speculating whether the LDP would able to maintain a simple majority, which is more than 50% of the seats of the House, together with its junior partner Komeito. However, in only losing about 15 seats in conclusion, they were able to comfortably cinch the simple majority by themselves. However, the news wasn't great for all LDP lawmakers. Perhaps the worst news was delivered to Akira Amari, who lost his seat but stayed in parliament via the proportional representation vote. As a result of his loss, he resigned from his post as the LDP's Secretary General, which is the second in command in the party, in response to his failed election bid against an opposition candidate from the Constitutional Democratic Party, or CDP, in a single-member district in Kanagawa Prefecture.
Other big-name losers in the LDP include Nobuteru Ishihara, former economic and fiscal policy minister, and Kenji Wakamiya, minister in charge of the 2025 World Expo in Osaka.
The election result was actually the LDP's worst showing since 2009. However, of course, it was not anywhere near the magnitude of the loss in 2009, because if you remember, that's when the LDP actually lost its majority to the Democratic Party at the time and was no longer able to have a ruling coalition in government. That said, this time around, the story is very different, and the LDP, together with junior coalition partner Komeito, were able to maintain a comfortable majority.
Prime Minister Fumio Kishida set a low target for success, winning a simple majority, and sees the result as a clear mandate to proceed with his policies.
Perhaps the biggest winner in this election was the Japan Innovation Party, or Ishin no Kai, which is a conservative-leaning opposition party popular in Osaka. They won 41 seats, nearly quadruple the number that they held prior to the election. This is a party to watch as they have continued to gain a foothold in national politics after becoming really the main political party in Osaka. And a lot of the seats they got in Osaka unseated a lot of very senior politicians.
You know, Parker, from a Joe Schmo perspective, Japan tends to name their parties things that are very counterintuitive and confusing. So this Japan Innovation Party, they're a conservative-leaning opposition party?
Yeah, definitely more conservative than the LDP. And one of their main policy agenda items is they want Osaka to have the same administrative district status as Tokyo.
Oh, wow.
So right now, only Tokyo has a special administrative government. And so Tokyo-to, or Tokyo Metropolitan District, basically has both the prefecture level and the city level all rolled into one super prefecture.
Right.
Only Tokyo has this special status right now. And so Osaka has Osaka Prefecture, but there's also Osaka City. So there's both a governor and a mayor.
So if they rolled it all into one, could Osaka potentially, do certain things that are legal in Osaka but are illegal in Tokyo and make new laws and whatnot easier?
It's a little bit more complicated than that, but I think the whole rationale for getting this special administrative status is so that Osaka can be more aggressive in its policy making, and what happens in Osaka and what they are able to do as an administrative district will become greater than what they're able to do under the current legal framework. So the sort of power balance, of course, would be basically Osaka would have more weight as a special administrative district versus the current situation.
Gotcha.
However, the Japan Innovation Party and its backers have tried to do this twice via a local referendum, and unfortunately they failed twice. So with this big success in the lower house, there's a question. Maybe the third time is the charm.
So what's next? Parliament is set to convene a special session on November 10th to confirm that Prime Minister Kishida will remain in power, with a new cabinet expected to remain largely unchanged to be launched on the same day.
There will be one big change, in it a new foreign minister, as Toshimitsu Motegi has been tapped for the LDP's number 2 post of Secretary General to replace Amari's stepping down. Another way of saying that is Motegi can't be a foreign minister anymore, so we need a new foreign minister. Who's it going to be? Right now, at the time of this recording, the new foreign minister is...
Drum roll.
Prime Minister Kishida.
Oh.
He said that he would be interim foreign minister until November the 10th. Of course, once this episode comes out, you will know for sure who the foreign minister is. At the time of this recording, it looks like it's going to be former defense minister and agriculture minister Yoshimasa Hayashi, who is known as Mr. Stand-in for oftentimes being a safe choice for reshuffles in times of crisis. And of course, this particular situation, needing to move people around, definitely fits the bill for that. So I think it's highly likely to see him as our next foreign minister, but we'll have to see.
In addition, Kishida's administration will draw up a stimulus package by mid-November to prop up the coronavirus-hit economy, featuring financial aid for businesses and people hit hard by the pandemic. It will be funded by an extra budget from the government, aims to pass within the next year.
Already there's been news that just came out that the government is looking to write a check for 100,000 yen to each child under the age of 18.
Parker, did I tell you I have 100 kids and they're all under the age of 18?
Can I borrow some money? I mean, maybe this is less likely in Japan, but if this were America, I mean, if all the kids got $1,000, can you imagine the fights between kids and parents? They'd be killing each other over $1,000.
Oh, dude, yeah. My home state in Florida, whenever they gave the stimulus out, God, H&R Block somehow got everyone's stimulus check. I never got mine. I think it's in an H&R Block bank account, and like dude, it's so crooked. I don't know if you heard about this. Like, this is a big thing in Florida, and to get your like $1,000 stimulus or whatever, whenever it was, like in 2020, you had to sign up for H&R Block to get it, and it cost like $300 to sign up. So like, if this happened in America, holy crap! Like, you know, like certain states, man, shit would be going down. Like,
the kids would join forces with the monkeys and overthrow the government.
I mean,
I'll make a damn good B movie. The monkeys and the kids team up to overthrow the government who didn't give them their checks. Coming soon.
I mean, I'd be more worried about the people who are graduating college right now and have to do like shushoku katsudo, right? And find a job. I mean, I've heard lots of stories about the generation that was turning 22 in 2020 or 2021 is kind of screwed. So why 18?
Well, I think the idea is to support families who have lots of kids.
Okay.
So obviously it's going to under 18s, but likely it's going to their parents.
Right.
Thus, if it were America, I would imagine some uncomfortable conversations between parents and kids. God damn it, Dad! Come on, give me my $1,000. I want to buy the new Xbox.
Exactly. And I mean, like, I'm not trying to say, I don't mean to come off pompous, but you know, when you think of life expenses, a one-time payment of $1,000 isn't a whole lot. Like, if we're talking about, even if we did like a monthly thing, like $500 a month to each person or something, that would carry a lot more weight. Whenever the government, American, Japanese government, I always think of there's a bunch of Marie Antoinette memes, like, you know, like, how much could it possibly cost? $400? I think, you know, they did like a $400 stimulus in America, and it just feels really disconnected, you know, the government from the regular people.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes with the Kishida administration writing a check to all of Japan's kids. I wonder if that'll do anything for Nintendo's shares.
Oh, yeah. Actually, there you go. That's the thing to watch. You know, what stocks are going to shoot up. I'd say most of the crypto market would go pretty wild.
Watch Nintendo make like a new Switch bundle that costs exactly 100,000 yen.
Ooh. See, now you're thinking like a true businessman and a marketer, you know? Yeah. How can we collect all those checks?
So on the heels of this election victory, Kishida is expected to focus on domestic policy in the near term and is not likely to make bold policy moves in divisive areas such as foreign affairs, as we still have an important upper house election looming in less than 8 months' time. So we're done with one election, but it's already about to be time for another. The Japan House of Councilors regular election is scheduled to happen in July of next year. So Kishida has been in office for just over a month now, and I think the Japanese public still doesn't know, who is this guy and what does he stand for and what is he going to do for us?
Right. And we've talked on the show before about, you know, Abe and how good his branding was as prime minister. So, you know, what is Kishida's prime ministership going to look like?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what his global image looks like as well, because he does speak some English. He spent some of his youth growing up in Queens in New York, and already on the heels of this international visit to COP26, you know, right after this election victory, it's going to be interesting to see how he brands himself on the world stage.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, just coming out of the Tokyo Olympics and with everyone very eager for Japan to open back up again to tourists, I think there's a lot of eyes on Japan right now, and Kishida has an opportunity to become a very popular prime minister if he plays his cards right.
So already Kishida has started his rhetoric. In his speech at the COP26 World Leaders Summit, he said Japan would provide up to $10 billion in fresh aid over the next 5 years to help decarbonization in developing countries in Asia.
That's really good. I mean, yeah, he definitely seems to be climate focused, also region focused. I mean, if he's talking about developing countries in Asia, that's already a good sign, right? I think what we've seen a lot with Japanese politicians is they're too domestically focused. So if we have someone now that is kind of looking out around bordering countries and countries in the oceanic area, South China Sea, etc., this is a good sign.
Yes, and unfortunately for Kishida, though, foreign policy will not help him a whole lot at home. And I think he understands this quite well. Kishida has already set up a new panel for raising wages of caregivers and nursery workers. And people are really wondering how he can realize a, quote, virtuous cycle of growth and redistribution, which is a key policy that he promised during his campaigning for the general election. A virtuous cycle, Aaron. It's going to be virtuous. You know what? It's almost Christmas.
It is. It is.
And you know what that means in Japan?
Oden?
No, even better. We get to celebrate the birth of Wham's best song.
It might actually be their greatest song. And the B-side of that record is really good, actually. And Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart.
Last Christmas, you gave me my heart, but the very next day, you threw it away.
Threw it away? I forgot the lyrics.
Gave it away.
Gave it away. Oh, man. Yeah, it's going to be everywhere. And you heard it here first, maybe on Tokyo Wave. So
Yeah, we whammed you.
sorry, guys.
You got whammed.
Yeah, you got whammed. Get ready to hear that. And people who didn't even know that was a big thing in Japan are probably going to hear it now when they're walking around like, God, that song's everywhere.
Damn it, they were right.
Hey, listeners, that's right. You listener right there.
Who do you think should be our next guest on Tokyo Wave? Let us know. Drop us a line at wave@tokyowave.jp.
We hope you enjoyed Tokyo Wave.
If you haven't already, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
Join us again next week on Tokyo Wave.